Welcome to lesson 2. Before we get started, I wanted to share a little bit about my healthy eating journey and how I got to where I am today, one pillar at a time. As I mentioned in lesson 1, I didn't always eat the right foods for my body in quantity or quality. I spent the majority of my college and young adult years eating whatever was convenient, which resulted in unwanted weight gain. I suffered from gastrointestinal issues for several years that were largely managed through medication until my body had an allergic reaction to that medication, resulting in kidney damage. At that point, for the sake of my kidneys, GI tract, and overall health, I completely overhauled my diet. For me, it was reducing my animal protein consumption, adding in more fruits and vegetables, and focusing on fiber, healthy fats, and reduced sodium. Would I say my diet is perfect? No, because I don't think there is such a thing as a perfect diet, certainly not a one-size-fits-all approach. Instead, I think there are foundational pillars that we can all operate within to find the foods that best support our mind and bodies. Let's get started and learn more about the pillars to eating well. In lesson 2, you will learn about the pillars to eating well, facts and recommendation regarding the foods in each pillar, and how to make small shifts to your daily diet to improve your intake within each pillar. Diet is very individual, meaning one person's food is another person's poison. And as I said in my introduction, there's no perfect diet for everyone. That being said, there are some general pillars to eating well that we can all operate within, including fruits and vegetables, healthy fats, whole grains, lean and plant-based protein, whole foods, fiber, water, and all while limiting sodium and added sugars. Let's move on to the first pillar, fruits and vegetables. There are so many benefits to eating fruits and vegetables, including fruits and vegetables are packed with fiber, vitamins, and minerals. Two primary considerations when it comes to fruit and vegetable intake is quantity and variety. First, for quantity, the recommendation for adults is 1.5 to 2.5 cups of fruit and 2 to 4 cups of vegetables. Unfortunately, only 1 in 10 adults meets the recommendation for fruit and vegetable intake. Next, for variety, it's important to eat the rainbow, meaning eat fruits and vegetables throughout the week that are from all colors of the rainbow: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, and even brown and white. Different color fruits and vegetables provide our bodies with different vitamins and minerals. Here are some ways you can add more fruits and vegetables in your day. At breakfast, try a fruit and vegetable smoothie, an egg or tofu scramble with veggies, a fruit or vegetable muffin, or overnight oats. At lunch, there's soups, salads, wraps, and grain and veggie bowls. At dinner, fill half your plate with fruits and vegetables. Try swapping out your favorite meal with a vegetarian alternative. For example, vegetarian chili or lasagna. Finally, for snacks, raw veggies and hummus and fruit and yogurt are excellent options. The next pillar is healthy fats. Fat gives our body energy, supports cellular function, protects bodily organs, provides insulation, helps with nutrient absorption, and assists with hormone production. Two primary considerations when it comes to fat are quantity and type. As we discussed in lesson 1, when it comes to quantity, the acceptable macronutrient distribution ranges for fat are 20 to 35% of calories, with less than 10% of calories from saturated fat and ideally no trans fat. For type, there are 4 types of fat: polyunsaturated fat, monounsaturated fat, saturated, and trans fat. When choosing foods, aim for foods with more healthy fats, meaning monounsaturated and polyunsaturated, versus unhealthy fats, which are saturated and trans fats. Good sources of healthy fats include salmon, olive oil, avocado, nuts, and seeds. Try to reduce full-fat dairy, red and processed meat, and fried foods. The third pillar is whole grains. Whole grains retain all parts of the seed: the bran, germ, and endosperm, which means they are better sources of important vitamins, minerals, and fiber than refined grains. A major consideration is quantity, But type might also be a consideration, especially for someone who is gluten intolerant or sensitive. As for quantity, the acceptable macronutrient distribution ranges for carbohydrates are 45 to 65% of calories. Whole grains are good sources of complex carbohydrates, and the goal is to make over half of your grains whole grains. When it comes to type, whole grains include whole wheat flour products such as pasta and bread, and barley. Now, these contain gluten. The gluten-free whole grains are quinoa, brown rice, millet, popcorn, and oatmeal. Pure uncontaminated oats are gluten-free. Then we have lean and plant-based protein. Protein supports the structure, function, and regulation of the body's tissues and organs. Two primary considerations for protein are quantity and type. For quantity, the acceptable macronutrient distribution ranges for protein is 10 to 35% of calories. The recommended dietary allowance for protein is 0.8 grams per kilogram of body weight. However, the recommended range is between 0.8 grams per kilogram to 2 grams per kilogram, depending on your activity level and goals. As for type, white meat, poultry, white fish, beans and lentils, tofu, egg whites, oats, tempeh, chickpeas, quinoa, pumpkin seeds, and chia seeds are all great sources of lean and plant-based protein. Next, we have whole foods, which up to this point, most of what we talked about fall into the whole foods category. But I wanted to keep it as a separate pillar to highlight the importance of whole versus overly processed foods. Whole foods are foods that have been processed or refined as little as possible and are free from additives and other artificial substances. Think food you make at home versus something pre-made that you buy in a store that's packaged or processed in a large facility. Whole foods are higher in nutrients and typically lower in sodium, fat, and added sugars. Focus on whole foods versus processed foods whenever possible. The next pillar is fiber. Fiber is a type of carbohydrate that isn't digested or absorbed, but provides many important functions, including helps regulate bowel movements, feeds gut bacteria, lowers cholesterol, maintains blood sugar levels, and assists with weight management. The two main considerations for fiber include quantity and type. For quantity, the daily fiber recommendations for adults are men 38 grams for 50 and under, and 30 grams for 51 and over, and women 25 grams for 50 and under, and 21 grams for 51 and over. Note, it's important to increase water intake as you increase fiber to keep things moving in your digestive tract. Next, for type, there are two types of fiber, soluble fiber and insoluble fiber. Most plant foods contain both types of fiber, but in different amounts, and both have unique benefits and support digestion. Fruits, vegetables, whole grains, beans, legumes, nuts, and seeds are all good sources of fiber. The last pillar is water. It's important to stay hydrated, and water is the best option. Water is important for health and can help prevent dehydration, regulate body temperature, and rid waste from your body. The recommended daily fluid intake is 15.5 cups of fluids per day for men and about 11.5 cups of fluids per day for women. These recommendations cover fluids from water, other beverages, and food. However, approximately 80% of that should come from water. This number may increase based on exercise, the environment, specifically temperature, health status, and if you're pregnant or breastfeeding. Try carrying around a refillable water bottle with you throughout the day. If you don't like plain water, mix things up by adding some fruit or try a non-calorie sparkling water. Finally, underlying all of these pillars is limiting sodium and added sugars. First, let's talk sodium. It is recommended that we consume less than 2,300 milligrams of sodium per day, which equates to about a teaspoon of table salt. If you have any high-risk conditions, like high blood pressure, then the recommendation drops to 1,500 milligrams per day. Unfortunately, Americans eat on average about 3,400 milligrams of sodium per day, according to the FDA. Ways to lower sodium intake include eating more fresh fruits and vegetables, reducing cheese intake, looking for low sodium or no salt added ingredients like broths, sauces, and marinades, reducing salt during cooking, and eliminating the salt shaker from the dinner table. Next, added sugar. It is recommended that individuals 2 years and older keep intake of added sugars to less than 10% of total daily calories. Sugar, like salt, is hidden in a lot of foods, especially packaged and processed goods. Outside of candy, which is obvious, added sugar can be found in foods like condiments, sauces, baked goods, desserts, and beverages. That brings us to our lesson 2 wrap up. This lesson provided an overview of each of the pillars to eating well. It included facts and recommendations regarding the foods in each pillar, as well as how to make small shifts to your daily diet to improve your intake within each pillar. To close out this lesson, let's discuss Challenge 2. During Challenge 1, you identified your calorie target and dietary changes needed to meet your goals. Based on the changes you identified, select one pillar and identify 1 to 2 actions you can take to make the shifts needed to support your calorie targets and goals. Track your progress using your food logging tool and document any positive changes you notice in the Be Well Food Journal provided in your course materials. These final slides provide links to references that were used in the development of this lesson. Thank you for completing Lesson 2. Once you've completed Challenge 2, head over to Lesson 3, Strategies for Eating Well, to help put into practice everything you've learned in Lesson 2. Thanks.